we'll take it from there. So more importantly, what we're going to talk about today is about financial intelligence. And you know what's happening here. There's a lot of talk now. I mean, a lot of people are hearing about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is really taking the stage. So we really want to set the stage for you to really understand what is important that you need to know, because it's very important for you to know some things. And I am not sure if everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? I just shared it.
Yes, we can see the screen. You just need to get the PowerPoint up and running.
Oh,
I can see it.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to maybe put this slide up a little better so that you guys can see it. All right. Okay, great. So basically, a lot of persons tend to use currency and money the same, but really and truly, it is noticeably different. I just want to explain very quickly what money is as opposed to currency. Money represents, as you would all know, it's a medium of exchange. It's also a unit of account. You can carry it around. It's durable. It lasts. It doesn't disintegrate in a matter of months. It's divisible, meaning you can give change. And of course, it's fungible, meaning what's in my pocket is the same as yours, generally speaking. All right. But most importantly, money is a store of value. Now, currency is all of what we just spoke about, but except one fundamental difference. One fundamental difference. And that difference is basically, oh, hold 1 second here. And that difference is it loses value. So what you have in your pocket is not money as we have been taught to believe, but it's basically currency. And that currency is backed by nothing but the fiscal and monetary policies of your central bank. As a result of that, guys, when governments print more and more of that currency and they allow the currency to move in the supply of the economy, we call it the velocity of money, what tends to happen is it's called debasement. And when debasement occurs, it means it reduces significantly the purchasing power of your dollar. I'm sure everyone has stories already. All you need to do, guys, is just to go to the supermarket and you'd realize how much of purchasing power you actually have with your currency. In fact, I'll ask you to do a little exercise. Next time you go to the supermarket, buy 5 things exactly the same that you would have bought, brand names, and the next time you do the same thing, chances are it's highly improbable that you'll probably pay the same. You'll probably pay more in many cases. And that has a lot to do with basically the purchasing power. So inflation, as per se, is a steady rise in the level of prices. And that's what we're talking a little bit about. Inflation affects the purchasing power of your dollar. All right. And this happens when there is an increase in the available money and credit in the supply of any economy, right? Resulting in the loss of value of currency. And this is what is happening right now. It's not happening only now, it's been happening for a very long time. So what you have in your pocket is commonly referred to, even on the IMF website, as fiat. Fiat comes from a Latin word meaning by decree, and by decree of your central bank, it is so. And hence the reason why governments use or sometimes abuse the privilege of paper and subject our purchasing power considerably at a lower value. And I think that's really what we want to show you, how you can protect yourself against what is happening today. Because when you really look at what is purchasing power, I'm going to use the gold standard because gold is really money. It does not lose value. In fact, it increases in value. And I just want you to look on the screen and just look at 1 gram of gold. All right. In 1971, guys, 1 gram of gold would have bought how much loaves of bread? 5 loaves of bread. All right. That same 1 gram of gold today, from since 1971 to now, well over 40 years now, that same gold can now purchase 20 loaves of bread. So gold's buying power has actually increased over time, regardless of how much the dollar or dollars wherever you live fluctuates. On the other hand, Let's take the US dollar, for instance, because only in our part of the world, we really chase down the United States dollar. In 1971, that same US dollar bought 4 loaves of bread. Now that same US dollar can barely buy any kind of bread at all, whether in Jamaica, whether in Canada, whether in Suriname, it doesn't matter. It shows you conclusively that as government continue to increase the availability of money, meaning currency referring to, the purchasing power of your dollar is going to continually decline. And that is something we need to pay attention to, because we have evolved as a society for centuries now from the bartering system, from gold and silver to even plastic money. I mean, would you believe that the first credit card was actually used back in the late 1940s? So when you really consider the technology that the banks have been using, it's basically old technology, but it's been relevant and have served well. Now, this is not to discredit banks in any particular way. Banks do play a very critical role in the success of businesses and economic development. But there is a but about it, because we are dealing with a situation that is taking place now where if you are saving your hard-earned currency in any bank, you are risking yourself of devaluations from various countries, and of course, the reduction in purchasing power of your currency. Now, there's a new kid on the block, and of course, many of you may or may not have heard, it's called cryptocurrency. Now, cryptocurrency is really becoming more and more practical, because cryptocurrency behaves like gold, meaning governments can't print it. There's only a limited amount that's available. And because of that, and because of this supply and demand that we're seeing right now, you are now seeing, back in 2009, when one Bitcoin was less than 10 cents, is now worth over $10,000. In fact, it was close to 11,000 just a day and a half ago. Just it dropped a little bit, just over 10. I didn't get a chance to check it before this presentation. So it proves conclusively that Bitcoin or cryptocurrency does have some value in the economy right now. And in fact, when you consider what is taking place by the head of the IMF, Christine Lagarde delivered a very astounding address at the Bank of England about a month ago. And here's what she says. She says, in the long run, the technology itself, meaning cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, can replace national monies, conventional financial intermediations, and even put a question mark on the fractional banking model we know today. So this is the head of the IMF coming on record and saying that cryptocurrency is going to challenge the existing banking system. It is going to create a disruption. In fact, this is going to be known as the seventh disruption. And it's going to disrupt the world in such a way that if we do not pay attention to what is taking place, you can and you will be left behind because of what is going to take place in the not too distant future. Mike Maloney, don't know if many of you would have looked at his videos, The Hidden Secrets of Money. I would strongly advise you to look at his series. It's a 7-part series that talks about money and currency and the demise of world governments as it relates to the purchasing power of what we know as currency. And he also advocates that there is a financial storm that's looming on the horizon, because when you look at many of the Fortune 500 companies, when you look at their stock and their stock portfolios, you realize that there is ample evidence coming out from many of the central banks that are saying that stocks are overinflated. And the last time stocks and bonds and mutual funds were overinflated was back in 2007 into 2008, when there was a crash. And typically when crashes occur, people lose a lot of money. You lose your savings, you lose all that you've worked for, you've worked so hard, your blood, sweat, and tears. So we need to pay attention, guys, to the signs that are obviously in front of us as it relates to what is taking place in the financial world. And just to recap what fiat money is It's currency that government has declared to be legal tender, but it's not really backed by anything that's physical in terms of a commodity like gold or silver back in before 1971, when the US dollar was backed by gold. So the value of fiat money is derived from the relationships between supply and demand rather than the value of the material that the money is made out of. So historically, most currencies were based on physical commodities such as gold and silver back in the days. But now what we are in fact using is fiat money, and is solely based on the faith and the credit of the economy. And when you look at this slide here, you cannot really outrun inflation. The United States dollar has depreciated in purchasing value by approximately 98%. So less than 3 cents based on its current 100-year decline. This is the current reality. So if your current rate of inflation is, let's say, 5%, I'm just using an example. And how much interest do you actually gain in a savings account today, guys? Maybe what, 1%? I'm just being really good. Most banks barely even give you 1%. So if you have a savings account that's paying you 1% and the rate of inflation is 5%, how can you compete against that? So it means that you are actually losing more than you're gaining. And that's the point I want to bring across to you, that you cannot save your entire life savings up and put it in paper in a bank account. Rich people do not save money in the bank as we know it. They create assets and they live off their assets. And they create cash flow, as Robert Kiyosaki always says. So this is very important for you to remember, that where we are now in our economy, we need to take cognizance of really what is taking place. So this cryptocurrency is really digital money that uses a technology that was invented back in 2009 by Satoshi Nakamoto, which is an alias name. We don't know who that person is, but it's touted that that person or group or whoever it is created a first base technology that was created and based on trust. This technology is so secure and so unique that it answers the question marks of being able to send and receive money without the use of a bank. That is really what blockchain technology is. It is really a digital ledger that can be used for almost every single thing that you can possibly imagine. And in fact, many banks now have been experimenting with the use of blockchain technology right now. For instance, Scotiabank about 3 months ago, just recently conducted or completed a trial run with Alpha One out of Canada to run blockchain technology, because banks understand what's taking place in the fintech world. And they want to be a part of it as well, because if they don't, they risk being left behind. So really and truly, the value of the currency is not based on any country or central bank. This value is dependent on the supply and the demand. All right, those are forces that operate on the market: supply and demand, consumer behavior. It behaves more like the gold and silver because it is limited in quantity. Governments can't manipulate it. It can't be printed into existence. Once it's created, you can't create more cryptocurrency. It's set in a particular way. And because of that, it is immune to the general effects of inflation. So if you're looking to create something that's going to increase in value and increase in purchasing power, cryptocurrency generally behaves in a way that you should pay attention. And that's very important moving forward. So when you really consider that Goldman Sachs, right, one of the largest banks in the world, are already saying that there is a potential for the disruption of the middlemen, as well as the reduction of billions of dollars in administrative fees. Blockchain technology is going to make things cheaper, faster, and more efficient. It's already taking place right now. So in summary, cryptocurrency is really digital currency. It's really mathematical money, right? It's mathematical algorithm. You can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't feel it, but it's actually stored in an e-wallet on your phone or on your computer. That is where the world is moving. It's moving completely in digitization. And of course, if the world is moving or finding more creative ways to get things done digitally, of course, money, and by extension currency, needs to behave in a particular way. And that's where cryptocurrency plays a significant role. So when you look at OneCoin in particular, OneCoin created by Dr. Ruja was very intrinsic and unique because Dr. Ruja saw where the global trend of digital currency was going. And really what separates us, and I hope in the interest of this presentation, we'll be able to go through that. Why OneCoin is far different than any other cryptocurrency that's on the market. And we will explore that very quickly. But just to give you a little idea that cryptocurrencies all over the world, Bitcoin, there are over 1,500 Bitcoin machines already all over the world, including Bridgetown, Barbados. Here with this gentleman is actually taking out, pairing his phone with the address to be able to take money out in Bajan currency. So that is very important. But when you really look at the formal Fed chairman, Alan Greenspan, making a statement and says that in the absence of the gold standard, there is simply no way that you can protect yourself from the confiscation of wealth. And how does government do this? By deficit spending. And the deficit spending is when a government, or a country rather, spends more than they produce. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And it causes taxpayers to pay more. And when you really look at what the world needs as it relates to cryptocurrency, this is one of the main things, unbankable. There are over 40% of the world population that does not have bank accounts, simply because, as you know, many banks have a lot of red tape and bureaucracy that's available now where if you don't have a stable JOB, you simply can't qualify for a bank account. So a lot of people are excluded out of the financial services, including the Caribbean as well. And that accounts for over 2.5 billion people in the world that simply don't have access to bank accounts. Blockchain technology, and by extension cryptocurrency, is going to level the playing field because it is a free market approach to e-commerce. And that's why it's changing the way things are done. One of the biggest and most lucrative fields in the world are remittances. Do you know that over $78 billion was actually sent from North America to the Caribbean and Latin America last year through Western Union alone? When you consider that it takes roughly about 30 to 33% just in fees to send money through Western Union, blockchain technology in a not too distant future is going to reduce significantly the amount of fees that are associated with sending loved ones money all over the world. And that's huge. But you're here today to listen to this presentation, not only because of all of the first two that I just spoke about, but because of this, wealth protection. You are listening to this information because you want to know how to protect your wealth. And that is very significant. Now, if we go back very quickly to some of the movers and shakers before, this tells us that if you do not grab or see the vision of the future plainly, you are going to be left behind. Netscape had to succumb to the power and the invention and creativity of Google. Nobody remembers AOL. I doubt anybody really has an AOL browser right now, or even MySpace. Mark Zuckerberg didn't invent anything new. He just took an existing technology, looked at the pros and cons, and just found a better way to add value in the world today. And this is the classic case, Nokia. Nokia was one of the most, I would say, the biggest deal all over the world. I'm sure in the Caribbean, many of you would have had phones long before. We used to call it in Trinidad, you call it Me Too. I think in Jamaica, they call it bangers. All right, where you could used to use the TDM network before GSM came along. And you could go anywhere in the world, forest anywhere. You could throw down 1,000,000 times, it still work. Nokia actually had the market. So iPhones and anything that Samsung came along with was really minuscule. But Nokia made the cardinal sin. And they did not pay attention to market trends. And because they have not paid attention to market trends, iPhone and Samsung actually now took now the market, and now they can't get it back. So iPhone is Mr. iPhone now. Of course, Samsung, Mrs. Samsung right now. And here's the classic case, Netflix as opposed to Blockbuster. You back in the days, of course, Patrick, you lived a lot in North America. You realized Blockbuster was a big thing in those days. People could have gone and rent movies and that kind of thing. It actually was a big thing in the Caribbean too. All right, now it gave way from VHS into DVDs and so on. But Netflix approached Blockbuster and said, hey, we have this crazy idea that we believe it's going to work. How about we stream movies to your clients instead of they having to come down physically to your location and maybe rent a movie? Blockbuster said, hey, that's nonsense. That's never going to work. Where's Blockbuster now? Busted and probably disgusted right now. Netflix dominates the market right now. There's so many other online TV services now that it's not funny. It goes to show you that when there are certain trends that the world is looking for, you create wealth not when everybody else does it, but when you're moving on this wave, we call it the bell curve, that really creates that kind of value. So when you really look at what OneCoin is, OneCoin is basically a natural progression to something better. Bitcoin created the way in which we needed to start thinking and moving. That's into the digital future. They made that technology possible. But of course, like with anything, first movers do not always have the market advantage simply because of noticeable flaws that Bitcoin has. And we'll explore that flaws because Bitcoin only has a maximum amount of coins that could be mined at 21 million. Of course, OneCoin looked at all of those considerations and created 120 billion. As you can know, the world population is over 7.2 billion. So naturally, if you're positioning yourself as a cryptocurrency to become the future of payments, like OneCoin is positioning itself to be, you realize that we do have something to think about. So what we are really looking at is to create a plan that can protect yourself and your family from what can happen in the future. By looking at what we are sharing today can significantly impact the way in which you handle what kind of financial storms are going to be on the horizon. And they're already on the horizon, guys. It's only a matter of time before silently it trickles down into every single territory where we live and impact the quality of our lives. But when you have information, information now supersedes ignorance. And this is the lady who is behind this whole thing of One Life. I'm not going to go into all her accolades, but she obviously worked at several cryptocurrency companies before creating OneCoin. Of course, she's published 2 books already on digital currency. They are available on Amazon. And of course, she is subjected to a lot of criticism. Many people called her so many different names. It's a Ponzi scheme. Do you know they call Bitcoin the same thing, that it's a Ponzi scheme because the world does not accept change very easily. And if we look at Schopenhauer, which was one of the most prolific German philosophers of the 18th century, he says that anything goes through 3 things. First, it will be ridiculed. Anything that you do, you're normally going to experience ridicule, even in your own family, if you would embark on anything in particular. Secondly, it will become violently opposed. And I think where we are right now, we are violently opposed in some circles because people do not want to accept anything that is predominantly going to compete against their interest. And lastly, when you can't beat them, you join them. That's when everyone else joins, and that's when it's finally accepted as truth. But Dr. Ruja understands that cryptocurrency has to and will eventually become regulated by all governments. So she has positioned herself already. Because what is our mission? Our mission basically is to increase the quality of life of all its members in our community, 3.2 million already, using what we call the One ecosystem. This is one of the heartbeats of our cryptocurrency and separates every single cryptocurrency that's on the market right now. Every single cryptocurrency in the market has value and will add value in some components. But what separates us is that we are not in the speculation. We are not going to be subjected to what happens on a geopolitical scale. So when you really consider what has taken place with OneCoin, we have built ourselves to become the #1 cryptocurrency, which we will explore now as to some of the components that are going to create this in terms of usability, in terms of the ability to expand, and of course, greater market capitalization, meaning the amount of volume of financial services that are going to be made available. We're already in 6 countries across the world, but this is the heartbeat. The company, Dr. Ruja, recognizes that it's not how much money you make that's important, but how much money you keep. If you do not have financial intelligence, you're going to lose everything you've worked hard for. And that is why education is one of the ecosystems that makes up the blood of our cryptocurrency. And let's explore very quickly. In this, we have what we call the One Academy. We've just recently had graduation exercise for some of my team members where we completed level 1 and 2 in 4 days. All right, it was tough. A lot of work went into that, but hats off to every single one of the One Academites that really took time from 6:30 from Thursday last week until 10 p.m. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to ensure that they understood the essence of what cryptocurrency is. And these are some of the things we would have gone through. We would have gone through a lot of different topics. But first, before I do that, let me just preempt and tell you this, more importantly. We tell people that it's important to get financial literacy, but most people don't even understand what financial literacy means. So I've taken the time to put this definition here so you can understand what it means, right? This topic focuses on really knowledge that you need in terms of your finances, personal finances, in terms of investing, in terms of insurance, real estate, paying for your college, budgeting, retirement, and so on. Why do you need that? Because those components represent various cycles that also happen in your lifetime. But here's one of the most important things. If you look at the last line here where I have circled, you will see why it's important. The lack of financial literacy or financial illiteracy may lead to making poor financial choices that can have negative consequences on the financial well-being of you. So if you do not have enough financial intelligence, guys, you can find yourself making poor financial choices, and sometimes, and in many cases, it takes a very long time to come out of it, right? So that is why it's important to understand. So we talk about finance, basic finance. We talk about risk and stock market. Do you know that in this market here, we also learn what is a balance sheet? What is income? All right, profit and loss. All right, what are the financial terminologies? What is profit, loss, liability, equity? You're going to learn all those terms that have generally been kept away from us in the main financial system, because generally most people go through life, become very educated, get their degrees, nothing wrong in that, but they still don't understand the financial terminology when they listen to the news, when they read financial reports, when they read Time magazine, when they read Forbes magazine or anything of that nature. It's incumbent upon you to be able to learn these things, but those things are in the top 3% of the world. The 97% of people have no clue as it relates to what it means. So we talk about so many different things as you go forward. Forex, technical analysis. Even if you're not a trader, it helps you to appreciate what is technical analysis, what is fundamental analysis, how you can use data that's published by various authorities in the world and evaluate that data for yourself. It teaches you to no longer rely on what other people are telling you or whatever propaganda that may be broadcasted to you, but you now have the authority now to really assimilate, like the percentage index, the consumer index, to be able to look at the farmers report, different things from the central bank that can help you to gauge economic activity. Risk management, econometric analysis, behavior finance, analysis, all of these things are geared to helping you really become efficient and proficient in the new economy that's taking hold right now. You need to equip yourself with real financial skills to be able to be part of this new financial economy that's coming fast and furious. So all of these tools, this education is geared on educating the community. And this is what separates this cryptocurrency, OneCoin cryptocurrency, from all other cryptocurrencies, because no other cryptocurrencies has a conclusive learning platform that is designed to empower its members to make decisions that affect the supply and demand. So when you affect the supply and demand, you control risk, because cryptocurrency generally is a very risky business. But if you can control the supply, and we are the supply, you can minimize risk. And that is very critical when you're dealing in a field such as this. So when you really consider as well that we offer not only education for the adults, we also provide financial education for children ages 5 to 12, where you can teach them about the history of money, making money go around, either through e-comic books or what we call short videos, 3, 4, nothing more than 4 minutes, that help you to understand. So imagine putting this on your child's smartphone tablet, whatever. Everybody seems to have one these days. And instead of having all kinds of stuff going through these children's mind, why not teach them the very thing that could have created something far better for you and me if we had that information at that age? So you now have the ability to change now the destiny of your children. This is why I love this so much. Education is the key. This is the heartbeat, guys, as it relates to what we call the ecosystem. We have education, which we just spoke about. We have something called the merchant platform, which I'll show you in a couple of slides, where we have about 52,000 merchants that already accept OneCoin for what it is. From hotels, car rentals, you name it, natural products. We have a platform almost like eBay and Amazon that provides one of the very, I think there's no other cryptocurrency where you can literally use your own coin and purchase goods and services. So coming in the not too distant future, we're going to have what we call a payment platform, OneForex, where we can send and receive money when we go ICO on the 8th of October next year. You'll be able to send and receive money. You'll be able to convert some of your coin into a little bit of fiat currency in whatever currency you want. All right. You can still have use of that service. All right. You'll be able to buy and sell. We're going into investments, funds, you name it. We are already positioning ourselves to take what needs to be done come next year. So this, in summary, is really what the heartbeat of OneCoin is. This is the blood, the life force that separates us from every single cryptocurrency out there. It is the ecosystem. And the ecosystem, just like the government financial system, they also have a financial ecosystem. So this now works synergistically together to ensure the stability of OneCoin, to ensure that there's not going to be breakages in the system, and to show that the value of the crypto coin, meaning OneCoin, is going to be the same value as the products and services that we are providing within the system. So it's not going to be overvalued. It's not going to crash tomorrow morning, that kind of thing. So when you really look about the one, we have 120 billion coins that is going to be available. In fact, it's already available. All right, we have the largest amount of cryptocurrency stock in the world supply, 120 billion. And we are positioned for global access where you can make instant payments, cross-border and money transfers. That's going to take place next year. You already saw that we have a unique ecosystem. The coin has a low volatility and it's not affected by inflation. Hence the reason why persons going forward, merchants will more be inclined to look at this, because you do not want a coin that's going up in value and drastically dropping in value tomorrow morning. You want stability. So we're positioning ourselves to ensure that that doesn't happen. Of course, OneCoin is already transparent, all right? It is a unique ledger. It is unlike what Bitcoin already has, because our blockchain is totally different. We also have instant transactions. We are scalable. We have KYC, meaning we know your customer compliant. We already comply to an anti-money laundering conventions. So we have self-regulated ourselves long before governments will in fact require this. And whether we like it or not, guys, all governments are going to have to regulate payment solutions if it has to be incorporated into the mainstream of a financial ecosystem. And this is one of the components that have already been done by Dr. Ruja. It's safe and it's also merchant appropriated. Do you know that when merchants use Visa and MasterCard, 2-3%, it's already taken out in charges? You now, in the not too distant future, don't need to pay that amount of exorbitant fees for your business. You can actually pay less than that using the blockchain that OneCoin provides. And that's significant. So when you really look back in 2015, when it was basically 50 cents for OneCoin, it's now and still is $15.95. We are at 98% before another increase in the value of the coin goes up. Who knows, it may eventually go up to 20. And of course, with every increase in the price of the coin, it also means that you get less coins in the long run. You would probably see that little calculation below. When it was 50 cents on the left, it was actually 5 tokens, meaning it would have taken 5 tokens to create one coin. Now it takes, to your right, it takes 160 tokens to create one coin. So here's how OneCoin now operates. We don't sell tokens, we sell education packages. So when you purchase an education package, you're going to get, based on what you can afford, you're going to get levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. as it relates to education. Then you're also going to get free tokens, and these tokens are going to go through what we call splits, and I'm going to show you how that operates, and I'm going to end with some of the packages that are calculated. I have it calculated in euro and of course Jamaican dollars, so you can have an idea as to how that works. So when the coin goes public, what can you do? Well, right now you can actually use the coins to purchase things on a deal shaker, and you can also use your coins and leave it for the 8th of October for what we call capital appreciation, for the price to go up. And you know the price is not going to be at $16 next year. It's going to be over $50 and more. Just think about acquiring some coins with education before next year, what that could do for you. So this is a little example of a coupon that I had used when I was in Trinidad to purchase stuff. We already have merchants that are already available. I have purchased even laminine products actually in Trinidad directly using digital currency. So the deal shaker, which is the other component that I showed you in the ecosystem, deals with travel, products, you name it. You can set up anything how you want, whether you are a registered business or whether you're just an average everyday person with no company, you can still sell anything that you want. You know, use it like an eBay where you can sell and get coins and also be paid in whatever currency that you want to provide. And I'm going to show you some slides that represent this. For instance, this is a place here, 7 days for 2 to 8 people. It takes 11.36 OneCoins to stay at this hotel. You can actually purchase this Ford Cougar, brand new, all right? In Europe also has many of those. It's about 928.83 OneCoins, all right, for this brand new vehicle. So we really have what we call usability, all right? You can buy some Indian styles as well, all right? Those are just some of the things. And of course, this is an example of a friend of mine, Alvin Morton, who actually got approval in Trinidad to sell his laminine products. And I actually purchased laminine products from him. So you can put anything that you think is of value, get it approved on the deal shaker, and this is exposed to all people, whether in the Caribbean, international, depending on what it is that you have to offer. So our merchant platform is designed to promote e-commerce, all right? Apart from education, apart from capital appreciation, these are the other components that's going to drive the value of the OneCoin. It's going to be known as One when it's listed on the public exchange next year, all right? And this is where we are. We have passed the community. We're over 3.2 million right now, going up to 10 by next year. We are now in the merchant state where we are actually attracting merchants to actually come on board and have their products listed on the deal shaker so that they can get what we call market accessibility, because we have at least a 3 million market already. So imagine getting access as a merchant to 3 million persons for some of your products. Or if you're within the Caribbean, we are now still in a work in progress with many of those merchants. Imagine having access to more persons that you generally would not have had access to simply because of being part of the community. That's one of the important points of being part of the, that whole community thing. And last but not least, public use back now when we are in October 2018, when now the full measure of what this OneCoin really has to offer will hit a lot of persons. A lot of persons are going to be surprised as it relates to where OneCoin came from. Where did it come from? We didn't know about this before. A lot of people, they could be wishing and gnashing of teeth. So when you really look at the prices here from 50 cents back to $15.95, what does this really all represent? It means that when the community grew, the value of the coin also grew. So this basically says that the bigger the community, the more solid the value of the coin. And this is the vision behind Dr. Ruja in creating a community-based cryptocurrency that is immune from external volatility as compared to what is taking place right now. So we have conservatively said that when the price is $25, but judging from what's taking place right now, guys, before the end of the year and into early January, February, probably going to cover or cross even $25. And of course, $50 is now even more possible, more than ever. All right. Let's say in the next year, it could be $1,000, could be $500 and $1,000. Imagine acquiring as much coins as you can now. Think about what is possible as it relates to capital appreciation, protecting the wealth that you already have. And you know that despite whatever takes place financially or economically speaking in whatever territory you are, you and your family and your close friends are not going to be affected by it. And that's the power of this thing. So in summary, let's look at very quickly why you'd really consider OneCoin over Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying not to have Bitcoin. I mean, I do have Bitcoin as well, but what we have to look at is what are the noticeable points that far outweigh what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin blockchain is only 21 million. Even if they've already had 2 forks already, they can't change 21 million. They're close to 17 million already. So supply and demand already taking effect. You're going to see erratic increases in the price of the coin. The value of the coin is very volatile. And the head of the IMF talked about this, that one of the criteria of cryptocurrency is the volatility, or one of the downsides rather, because of the ability or the lack of the ability to be able to control price fluctuations. All right, and that's one of the most common points. Anonymous. Yes, it's good to be anonymous for what it was originally intended, but let's be real. We live in a real world where there's a lot of dishonesty actually taking place. So what can be used for good is obviously going to be used for bad in all sides, whether it be OneCoin or what. And this is going to be one of the criterias moving forward as it relates to what government is going to have to do as it relates to if they need to bring this as legal tender. And they possibly will, but it's going to have to be regulated. So when you look at some of the other components, we have over 3.2 million people. We have a central mining. You don't need to have experience to mine a coin. It's actually done for you. All right. We have KYC. Our blockchain is over 120 billion. We have 72 million coins that are mined per day. All right. As compared to 16 million coins that was mined in 8 years with Bitcoin. We are global. All right. The value of the coin is stable, or more stable rather than what Bitcoin generally has, because we have an ecosystem. All right, and we have our coins that are stored that are actually on several servers all over the world, making it impossible for you to ever lose your coins, as opposed to over 22% of persons who already have Bitcoin have lost it. All right, and that's some of the noticeable points.